Hello, I am Christian DiMatteo, co-founder of Fugitive Poems Comics, and this is The Art Will Not Be Changing, the Fugitive Poems Show. I am excited about tonight. I'm excited about every night. Not every night, but every night on the show. Some nights, you get a little depressed, you get a little sad. I don't know what I'm getting into. I shouldn't share this with you. You know what? Let me share. I'm kidding. We have got some fun stuff tonight. We got a really cool duo, a team that's done work together for the Fugitive Poems series, Containment Breach, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So these are some fellow fugitives, and we always love to, what's the word I'm looking for? We always love to promote fellow fugitives who have continued on to awesome stuff, and that's what we're doing tonight. Before we get started, please remember that Dirty Living Issue 2, only available on the fugitivepoems.com website, is out. And actually, one of the artists that we're talking to tonight was a guest artist on it. Pardon me. So, Dirty Living Issue 2 is ridiculous. It is nonstop action, violence, profanity, even some nudity. I mean, all the good stuff that you came for. Everything that you're here for is in Dirty Living, written by Stephen Betcha and drawn by Ryan Santos with guest artist Jack Van Thomme. I just gave away one of our guests. And letters by the great James Lyons, co-founder of Fugitive Poems. Also, Blood Valkyrie in Vegas is still, for a few days more, available for late pledges on Kickstarter. So you go to Kickstarter, you type in Blood Valkyrie in Vegas, and you can still get your copy. We're about to go to print. We just got our money from Kickstarter, and we're going straight to the casino for some hookers and coke. No, that's wrong. We are going to send that book to print. And if you want your copy sent out with the very first shipment, make sure you get on that. Blood Valkyrie in Vegas, which is a gory grindhouse horror adventure with more demons than you can shake a corpse at. It is amazing. Written by me and drawn by the amazing Alex Zapata with letters by Tom Lynott. We have got a couple of people in the chat. Evan shouting out hookers and coke. Always a good day. And we've got somebody's excited about one of our guests. Claudio is saying hi, jammers. And we've got, let's see, Kat saying hi. We got a bunch of people. Claudio, I'm not going to bed. I just logged in. Buona notte is what you wish someone when someone goes to bed, Jack. All right, so we're talking about them. I suppose at this point in the show, I should bring them to the stage. Because I'm prejudiced as a writer, I'm going to bring the writer to the stage first, Mr. Patrick Hicks.
Hello.
Patrick, how are you?
I'm great. How's things?
Oh, going terrific. I'm so glad you're here. Should we bring Jack on or just leave him back in the green room?
Jack's always everywhere. He can just sit there for a while. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, go ahead.
I would. All right. Welcome, Jack Van Thomme. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm combating Claudio right now. It's fine.
Yeah,
right? I know what I'm doing. I'm dealing with it as best I can. I'll send him some separate notes in Italian. I am going to do a gesture at him, and everybody else cover your eyes. Just a little bit of that for Claudio. So, all right?
Claudio, when he said buona notte, maybe that was come on, be careful.
It was a signal. I was trying to tell him goodbye. We've seen you. We've heard you. We love you. Great work. But see you later.
You gentlemen are here tonight to talk about a really cool project that you're involved in. Before we do that, you were in Containment Breach Volume 3 of Clouds and Ether. And Patrick, you wrote such a cool story for that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what that one was about?
Yeah, that's one of my favorites that I've done. So that was it was called As Above, So Below, and it was essentially sci-fi, post-apocalyptic, but a little different take on a post-apocalypse story where essentially the surface of the earth is now uninhabitable. So now humanity's moved up into the sky. But the theme of the story was essentially the sky's the limit. So we did kind of a twist on that where humanity's now living in the sky, but there was no concept of space. So the story itself was kind of this post-apocalypse. They're living in a an odd middle ground where they're in the sky and that's the safe place, and space and the surface are kind of both hostile. So there's kind of just this constant pressure to stay where they are, but then, you know, the story builds and builds, and there's a catharsis that's kind of a, you know, I consider it sort of a hope punk ending where, you know, things finally progress to the point of space travel. So yeah.
It was such a cool and unique concept. And what you're not mentioning is that you did it in an incredibly personal way. So this is a grand concept, but we enter it through the relationship of a father and son.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so hard as a writer to, especially in the short form, to tackle a big concept and remember the importance of three-dimensional characters.
Mm-hmm.
This was really the story of a father and son, and that sort of struggle between a father and a son, along with the love. And you explained everything they were living in through that relationship, and that really wowed me. I was so excited about that story.
Thank you.
Jack,
yeah, it's the short form of it. You know, that's one of the biggest challenges, because, you know, you don't really have a lot of fuel to burn, you know, to kind of explain a world, set up a world. So it's literally just like, what can we do that'll really hammer it home right away? And yeah, so everything being through the eyes of the characters was kind of the best way to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was so impressed with it. So Jack, tell us about your part in that story.
Yeah, so I had to take Patrick's writing. I was going to try to find a sassy term for it, but I had to take his script and turn it into words and images, which is the fun part of comics. And the cool thing is Patrick leaves the right amount of space and in the right places. So a lot of times, you know, someone who's working on their craft as a writer will give you too much detail or not enough detail, or they hide details from you as if you are the audience. And that is, I mean, if I was going to give a bit of advice to any aspiring comic book writer, your artist is not, they don't need to be apart from the secret. They are in on it, and they need to be from page one. So if there's like a big reveal, like it turns out this guy has been a monster the whole time, I need to know that. Like I need those elements to be crystal clear up front. I'm a part of telling the story. And so Patrick gives you those details as a writer. So it makes the script so readable and so easy to dive into. But he let me do a lot of design work on the characters, whether it's costumes, whether it's the actual shape themselves. I know there was like a promo poster that went along with it that you all let me put in there. Super fun to design that, because it kind of let me play with this sort of, what would a futuristic floating island city that has to maintain a certain altitude in order to avoid the toxic Earth atmosphere, like what would that look like? And so I got to figure it out. And eventually, you know, as the script progresses, you see how it interacts with the world. And that's where I had a lot of fun. But the other cool thing is there's a lot of really quiet moments in the story. So we close on one of my favorite panels that I've drawn, but a couple pages before that, there's another of my favorite panels, because it's really tense and chaotic. He's staring, he sees his reflection in the mirror. And then the closing page, there's another really still quiet moment. And for me, that's kind of a coda to the story itself. So a ton of fun drawing it. To answer your question in short form, I added colors, pictures, and line art where I could. So
that image of him with his hands up against the glass, the reflection, we used the hell out of for advertising because it was a quintessential indie comic excellence panel. The kind of thing that you don't see in the mainstream, purely inventive, not derivative. There was that, and Rob Toll did David's story. David Katz, who was in the chat. Hello, Dave Katz.
I haven't scared him off yet.
Let's see. That's great advice from Jack. I am guilty of that. Yeah.
it's so tempting.
Here. Speak of the devil, and you wings.
Had lots of stuff to say about Rob Toll.
So Rob and Katz, the dream team, are in the chat here. Rob drew, just nailed David's story. It's such an existential, dread, heavy tale, and there's just this shot of this man in chains screaming, "Don't die!" And those were two of the images, yours and that we really felt hit what the anthology was right in the head. And you guys are a part of another anthology now, with what I already think is, I mean, I'm not, biased or anything, but the best story in the book.
It's certainly a fun one to read.
It is. So tell me a little bit about Concrete Arcanum.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So Nathan Luth is putting this together, organizing it. Super nice, consummate professional, but also, running a real tight ship and keeping us all committed to the book and getting things along the way. He put together one volume of Concrete Arcanum before this, and this one kind of came back with a similar idea. So basically, what if monsters, what if magic, what if kind of horrific things were real and we just accepted them and they were a part of the modern world as it exists today? And then he gave that prompt to as many different creative teams as are in the book and saw what came out of it. So, I'm sure we'll throw it up there on the screen at some point here, but there's a huge variety of not only art styles, not only writing styles, but totally different types of takes, different stories, different emotional tenors. What I like about Patrick's writing style is that it's sometimes kind of sedate. Like you are seeing something that if you pause and look at it, you're like, oh, something's not right here, but you could just easily let this be a part of your day. And, you're in a building where there's a big freaking monster and don't even notice it, right? We have those in our real world. They just don't happen to look like giant squids, right? So I think there's some really cool stuff. But like I mentioned, Nathan put the book together. It's live on Kickstarter right now. It is well on its way to hitting its goal, but it's not going to get there if people don't continue to back it. So part of the reason we wanted to chat was because, one, we would love more people to get their eyes on it and see if they want to throw a couple bucks towards the campaign. But two, partially because we just really like the story we told, and it's a really cool one. I think lots of people are going to be excited to see where it goes.
Well, I've got it on the screen here. And folks, I threw the link into the comments. If you want to, you see if you want to click on it and back magnificent book. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit.
Yeah.
Talk more about the inside. I want to show this freaking book. That's great.
It's a good back cover. We got a cover reveal as part of like the work group that we were a part of, and it was worth it.
That cover, it's that kind of the most pleasant surprise where you're just like, oh, that's the cover. That's wow.
Yeah.
And then, you start flipping through the book and it's just one after another. You're like, okay, this is fantastic upon fantastic. Just one story after another.
We're going to talk about the fact that people can see a lot of that right now in a second. First, I wanted to point out, this is a solid motherfucker of a book.
It's a beefy boy.
Yeah, no,
216.
Yeah, you could kill somebody with this thing.
If you're determined, you could probably get him with a lot of books. But I'm with you. I get where you're going.
Yeah.
Without rolling it up and shoving it down the throat, alien style.
Right. Yeah.
This we were Containment Breach 4 was 192 pages, and we were really psyched about this. This is how many?
216.
216.
Yeah,
that's amazing and beautiful hardcover. This is not a shoddy product at all. And I saw you. Oh my gosh, Mike Gracia is here.
Hey,
hello, Michael Gracia.
That guy. He's so pleasant.
Love Michael. Michael's the reason I got into making comics.
Yeah, a good guy to chat with and a good guy to know.
Absolutely. I saw you on Michael Gracia's show. And Nathan, whose project this is, you can see his name on the screen there. Nathan was talking about, and Jack as well, how important it is for so many of us to hold a book and turn quality pages. And for me, that smell of a new book, it just, you open it up and, oh my Lord. Hell, there's actually a great smell to old books as well.
And for someone like you with that kind of history, I mean, backing a book on Kickstarter and getting it sent directly to your house is probably the only way you're going to be able, because of all the stories you've been kicked out of for, I got to crack open a book and get a sniff. Like there's only so many Barnes and Nobles you can get kicked out of Waterstones before you just only order online.
Blowing long lines of pages.
Smells wafting you off of the air like a fresh pie on the windowsill. I get it.
So So let's. I'm gonna switch here over to this incredible. Did it come on the screen? Yes, good.
Yeah.
There is a link in the campaign right at the top where you can read the first. How many?
I don't know if it's the like first sequentially, but it's like 70 pages almost of comics that are sitting in there just to take a look at. I think ours is included about 3 or 4 stories in. I mean, you get a really good review. Nice thing is you got Nathan's incredible art and story right at the top there. Really cool vampire story that takes a pretty good turn too. And you can see he's got that illustrator's mentality too. Really nice, clean work. And it doesn't slow down. It's well paced throughout. So that was fun to get a look at, just to kind of see what his ethos is when it comes to comic book creation.
Yeah, I love the style, I love the energy, and I love the story.
Yeah.
I wasn't overly familiar with Nathan's work, and this really really impressed me. I want to point out, folks, and again, the Kickstarter is in the chat, and it's also right here. We just looked at the full first story available, and there's more. This is a 69-page document, and I'm not mature enough to let that pass. This is a 69-page document of I mean, that's the size of most friggin' anthologies you would get, and this is free. I don't even when I heard you guys talk about that, I wasn't even sure how I felt about it. I'm like, are they giving away? Are they giving it away? Are people going to keep going? But then I read these, and I said, you know what? I want more.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. When you know that these 69 pages are out of 216, there's a hell of a lot more.
Yeah.
That's available to you. And if you enjoy the hell out of this, you're going to want to continue. So there's some beautiful work by some incredible creators here. This, before we get to yours,
I was going to make you stop here. So Nathan called this out, and I will too. Just such a cool take on like the rhythm of a comic book page, calling back to those old gridded pages. But you get this sort of click, click, click mentality across this one single story. And I think it's only like 3 or 4 pages, but the pace and kind of the creeping anxiety of it comes out really effectively. It's such a good story.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I was thinking, there's this page right here.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Grendel, like 90s Grendel.
Yeah.
Playing with when he was, I'm just blanked on the creator's name. But he was playing with the paneling and using panels for words and panels for images. And I just was totally taken with this. I love it. The art style is beautiful. And yes, this frame by frame by frame. And it's so clean, even as it is surreal. And then there's this page. And I'm a big fan of single images divided by frames. Brian Beardsley did one of these for us in Containment Breach Volume 2, with his story written by Travis Hill about a young Thor and Odin. And there's this incredible panel that's just gridded by the jail cell that someone's in, but they're all one panel behind it. It's beautiful. Rob Toole saying those pages are beautiful. Evan throwing in the Pander Brothers. Thank you. And Matt Wagner. Thank you, Rob Toole. Creator of Grendel, Matt Wagner. Thank you very much. So I think that when we get, no, it's not you yet.
We're close. I was going to say that one. Yeah. That one you were just on the right before this, just up there. Instead of Grendel, for me, that's all Mr. Miracle. Some of those recent ones where Darkseid is just that kind of intense paneling, a little bit claustrophobic at times, just so cool to read.
Yeah. Beautiful. And then we go to this, and this is one of the cool things in this book is the absolute variety of style and story.
Yeah.
And that takes us to the centerpiece of Karnak's Tower, written by Patrick R. Hicks, illustrated by Jack Van Thomme. And Patrick, tell me about the Where the hell did this come from?
So the idea, essentially, because when the theme was announced and we actually started thinking about it, where my mind went to is because, the idea of living with monsters, you can go so many different directions. But in my mind, it's just, well, if there are monsters out there, then that would explain a lot of the more unpleasant facets of everyday life. So thinking through, what did I actually not like about everyday life? And it, of course, went to an office environment. And so then the idea from there kind of snowballed, that just the idea of like, there's monsters that are out in everyday life and they're part of society and fully integrated and people have to interact with them and all that. But then what about the more malevolent things that are undoubtedly out there, but we don't see the way other people see, which kind of turned into this story where, there's one here at like a city center, a huge building with tons and tons of people. And it's like, well, what is that one going to do? How did it get there? And how does it function? Which kind of turned into this, Dracula Renfield type story. And that's where it went from there. So the horror kind of amped up just from the original idea of like unpleasantness and why it's there.
In the chat, we've got some Claudio sass. I just want to call out make sure that it's. Don't worry about it. I'm handling it. We don't need Chan in here. I've got it on lock.
I love the idea of the Dracula Renfield relationship, and as you go through the story, you certainly see that. I mean, right off the bat, we've got the first words spoken in the story are "Good morning, Master," healing, and then we have the reveal on the second page. What news, caretaker? And I've got to tell you, Patrick, I love the dialogue of the beast in this. Just incredible, perfect for what it needs to be, but still very inventive. All of this is so well written. At one point, you handle text messaging and chat room with such dexterity, and that the two of you together. And Jack, I'm going to pull you in here. In fact, let me bring this over. The visual of how you present these. Get me to get down to it. Here we go. It's simple, but it works so well. Of the people responding to a chat, and this, I know that you guys work often together and so well together. Jack, you got this story, and what was your entry point for it?
Yeah, I mean, a part of this was just to think about where Patrick was coming from. Like, what's the hook? What's making this story tick beyond the panel to panel action that's going on there? And what stood out for me was how kind of isolating a lot of like COVID, a lot of lockdown, a lot of that life is. And I think Patrick and I have had a lot of life developments outside of comics that can be very isolating. I became a parent right in 2020 and again in 2021, right? And those things can be very isolating.
There was nothing else to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, sure, yeah. But also like you're spending all that time learning about a new person after they're born, and you're like, man, I haven't talked to my friends in ever. And all you want to do is get back out and interact with people. And there is that sort of lure that can be really dangerous to it. And so what I wanted to capture was sort of that uneasy, silent kind of a draw. And so it was really nice that Patrick put these moments in here where you do have like a chat. That's a lot of stuff that comes out is just, people making these plans in silence in their own isolated pods without really knowing who's on the other side. And so I think that was the nice thing is, there's this separation between the caretaker and the monster, and it's a pane of glass and all of this stuff. And so they're communicating through glass, communicating through lines of, like a physical barrier. And in that same way, I thought, there's another way to parallel this with the people that are asking like, hey, where can we go party? Where can we go do things? And so I thought that was a nice kind of connection to try and draw there. So, for me, it was monsters is probably the primary entry point, but then the rest of it is that sort of emotional core of, what is the real horror here? It's not just a monster. Monsters are scary because they evoke something really horrifying in us. And, the other thing that came out in a lot of these was kind of that disintegration. So you'll see it. I think if you go one more page down past this one, you'll see some people starting to kind of come apart into little bits of viscera. And that the monster, when he's floating in that big pool of water in his tank, he is also suspended in sort of like what I thought of as kind of dirty dishwater. You know, there's just pieces of him floating all around. And I thought that was kind of a nice way to evoke, you know, the form is totally coming apart and what's left over after that.
I love it. This is a truly, truly beautiful piece. I am both really excited that it's available for people to see now and really annoyed because I want people to have to wait for it and buy the book. It's, you know, I was lucky enough to have you show me some of it a little early, and I just was so taken with it that sorry, I'm switching the view here. There we go. I was so taken with it, and Patrick, so excited about your writing. So one of the things that we certainly have here is Lovecraftian influence, and I'm a let's see my Cthulhu up here. I have Lovecraft stuff all over the place. I'm a huge Lovecraft fan. Is that a inspiration for you as well?
That's me. Yeah, I'm a huge Lovecraft fan as well. I don't know if you can see it from this angle, but that shelf back there, those are all old Lovecraft Arcanum Press books and stuff like that. Yeah. So I've got kind of a mini collection. But yes, because it's, you know, whenever some theme like this comes up where, you know, there's an excuse to do monsters or horror, you know, there's about a good 70-30% chance or 70-30 ratio that it's going to end up being some kind of Lovecraftian thing with me. And I think Jack's kind of getting that at this point. But yeah,
it's fun
this
to
one,
draw too.
yeah, and that's the thing, because, you know, I wanted to get back into kind of the design of it and how it was written versus how it came out and all that. But yeah, the idea of the horror comes from that kind of, you know, in sort of a Cthulhu-esque way. It's almost like a psychic horror because, you know, the monster's there and it's got kind of an imposing presence, but it's still sealed away behind a pane of glass and floating in water, which can be creepy depending on how you see things that are in water. But at the same time, it's just got this oppressive nature to it that gets into people's heads. And yeah, because originally when I was writing it, you know, like the image I had in my head of thing in a tank, like what would be unnerving to see just floating in a tank. And so I kind of wrote it as like, imagine like a, you know, squid mixed with a coral reef, kind of a shapeless mass that is not any one thing. So it's different every time you look at it. And it was one of those things where as I was writing it, I was like, how is anybody going to do this? And then Jack came up with that design, which was just
great. You know, while we were looking at it, I didn't even realize all these comments that came in. Evan, could you all have a contest to win a date with the Squidly monster?
Oh yeah. He's not into monogamy is the problem. I think I would he'll go on a date, I'm sure. And he's a real face hugger, but I would just say, just keep that in mind.
Spouse for every arm. Katz, who's known me since elementary school, wrote Christian tried to get rid of his kids during COVID. And Claudia responded, but like true Italian kids, they came back home, which I understand they do through their 40s. Claudia, the artwork, pacing, and layout look really good. Rob said it looks great. Katz, really, really cool stuff. And he said it reminds me of the Kree Supreme Intelligence, but creepier. I love the idea of sometimes looks like an octopus, sometimes looks like coral, and I love, Jack, where you landed on that. The floating bits. There's this massive power coming from this thing, but it is also entrapped, and there's a decrepitude at play. There's a really interesting balance of its power versus its. I mean, the fact is, it's vulnerable. It needs the caretaker to keep it fed. So I don't want to get too deep into it. I hope people didn't read it too carefully. Patrick, I love the idea. And Jack, the idea of putting it in that circular tank rather than a regular rectangular one gives a whole other dimensionality to it. Jack, where did you pull from for your influences for this, or was this wholly, you know, you read the script and this is what came for you? I mean,
not a ton of reference art or things like that getting pulled for it. Patrick did talk about, coral reef, squid kind of things. And I was like, yeah, I think I know where you're going, right? For me, it's more about the function in the story, which is sort of this kind of everywhere, kind of nowhere at the same time presence. And so there are a couple of pages, I might have you go back to them in a second, but in terms of the design, I mean, it has to sit in a tank, right? That's just the fundamental component of it. And square edges on a glass tank, frankly, are just not super fun to draw. It's just a little tricky. And so I thought a round tank means that it can sort of sit at the center of a spiraling staircase and gives it more of this feel of like organic and also that hyper corporate, all the edges are sanded off kind of a thing. So that's the design too, came from a lot of wanting to start with an organic, natural shape. So taking the standard Cthulhu squid that you might see, and then add in some facets that imply that there's something like power that's pulsating through it. Like there's some sort of an otherworldly presence that's associated with it. That means that it's not quite right. So I think if you want to go down to page 8, maybe.
One of the funniest things here, to me, is that the monster is also poised as corporate art.
Yeah.
And that just...
So this one here, you can see in those like bulbous head sacs, I guess is what you're going to call them medically. There's sort of like these rivets of light that are coming through there, trying to get at this idea that there's sort of a psychic power emanating from him at times. And for me, it felt really nice to be able to add that at times and pull it away at other times to talk about its sickness, how it's feeling, that sort of thing. And I also wanted to go to this one because there is the gross little eye tentacle poking out that just for me was, I didn't want to draw it because it was physically uncomfortable to draw. But within those sunken eye sockets, it was that right level of there is clearly something off here. This is not a natural critter doing this. But also still be able to give it that kind of menace that I think it needs to have in order for the struggle to come across on the page.
So my son and I are bike riding one day. And behind me, I hear him say, "Dad, a bug flew in my eye." I said, "I'm sure it's fine." Because as a parent, you never want a new situation. So you say, "I'm sure it's fine."
I've dealt with that before.
You try and manifest it. And I wrote a guy, "Dad, it's in there." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" I thought he clapped himself his eye or something, right? I'm like, "I'm sure you're fine." I get off the bike and I walk over to him, and there is a bug halfway, its thorax, halfway into his eye, and little legs are kicking to get purchased and go in further. And I'm grabbing this thing, and I keep getting it, and it slips out of my hands and goes further in, and it's going into his fucking skull. I mean, that's all I can think is this thing is. I've been watching horror movies my entire life.
Yeah,
nothing good comes to this.
You did not prepare for this?
I was not properly prepared. Man. So we finally, I can't get this thing out. I need tweezers. So I go, luckily my sister lives really nearby. We go over there. My wife comes over because she's much more capable in situations than I am, and ends up having to pull this long bug with wings, and it's like holding on out of the corner of his eye. I mean, we watched it come out around his eye. It was one of the most horrific things I've ever seen. And when I looked at this picture, that was the first thing I thought.
You're welcome. Oh my God, I hate that story so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. Awful. Yeah, so anyway, that's what I was getting at here. I imagined we had a situation like that. Just that kind of eye hook. I mean, that's the line that I tried to toe here. There's with the design, I wanted to feel, my influences are Mike Mignola, other people who do that kind of a like spotted blacks across the page to help guide the reader, give a little bit of rhythm. I clearly don't care about hyperrealism as much as I do about being able to characterize something on the page. And so that means I feel a lot more free to do kind of expressive line work across the page. And so that was really fun to do here. And it also meant that drawing and designing characters was a snap for something like this. And the monster is just goofy fun to draw because he doesn't really have to be all that similar from panel to panel. You can just draw what visually makes sense and go from there.
Well, you did a beautiful job on an amazing story. It goes in a direction you wouldn't expect. It focuses on something you wouldn't expect. I mean, this is yet again from Patrick, a really original experience. And Jack, you just got it on the page so beautifully. Absolutely gorgeous, and the last note is perfect as well.
Thank you.
So yeah, just terrific. Let's scroll down a little bit further, and we go from this to this, and that's what you guys are looking at when you see this book. Guys, tell me a little bit about the overall Concrete Arcanum. So it's about living with monsters. What if they're an everyday part of life? And here we have a goblin that's a carpenter, and that's just something she has to expect. Kat says the last panel of your comic is so cool. Agreed.
Yeah, it was a fun one to draw. But
tell me more about the book itself.
Yeah, I mean, in some of these stories that I think you've gotten a chance to preview, and some of the ones that you might not have seen yet, they are really dealing with personal issues. Like, they're human stories that just happen to take place in a world that the rules are bent slightly. And I think that's a really nice way to explore different concepts. So, sometimes it's like, what is that feeling of being isolated? What is that feeling of wanting to connect or being pulled to connect in Patrick's story? Or in this one, you get elements of like, what happens when fantastical creatures are a part of just our working world, our day-to-day needs, and how do we interact with sort of mystical elements when they fit into that normal life? Or, Nathan's story that talks about, the dating world is kind of a tricky one. I am fortunate enough to never have had a need to do online dating, but when you're swiping left and swiping right, I am pretty sure a vampire might be preferable to some of the people you might encounter on there. Really don't know, but I've heard tell. There's also a couple stories in there, one about a werewolf who was recently given birth, has a new child out there in the world. And, what lessons do you give to a person as they approach a world that is often hostile, often not welcoming? And I just have loved to read through the stories and see where people have decided to go with it and how they interpret a pretty broad concept too. And this one, if you want to slow down on the panel or the page you're on right now, the very top of it, just that really nice shot with some establishing space, showing characters in motion, but really, I mean, incredible line work on the page to give it texture, to give it, light and shadow with, if you look at the colors that are underneath it, that's all just flats. And yet the inking that's done on there is doing such an incredible job of giving everything form, giving it texture and feel that is really pretty original. So that's been really fun to see, as well as, this is another comics community coming together to tell interesting stories in a way that's really authentic. And I've enjoyed that a lot.
I love the body work in this one, the shapes and designs of the body.
I'm trying to think of what the reference is for me here, but they're just, it's a cartoonist sensibility, and I love seeing that kind of stuff come out.
Yeah, really, really terrific. Great energy to it and movement. Really, a really good time.
Yeah, and we'll say, and then you jump into like, Sugar Rush bowl of cereal cartoon kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I absolutely love it. And great paneling on this.
And this one has some of the goofiest character designs in the best way. So scroll back up to the top, I think, on one of these other pages. So this is one more. So this is about a furry little guy, little dinky guy, and I guess panel 6 of panel 6. Oh my God, on the right side, just the doofiest character design in the best possible way. I mean that with all due sincerity, that it just is sort of silly, and it plays in this space where it reminds me a lot of like Invader Zim, where there's sort of a menace to the characters, but they still have their own little personal silly goals and their own squabbles, and that kind of frenetic energy is so cool to see on the page.
Yeah, I think this is wild and fun and silly in all the right ways. Then we go from there to, I believe this is the pregnant werewolf story.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah. Moonlit Comet.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And this one is just gorgeous. The use of light and shadow and a super limited palette.
Yes.
I'm very guilty of overfilling my palette with colors, but it's just because I like colors. My parents bought me the crayon box when I was pretty young, and I just haven't gone back. But here you get some nice use of like halftones and things like that that artists forget can be in their box. They're not just like truly traditional. They can be done digitally. They can be done however you want. And they just add this really great color interest up from page to page to kind of guide you along the way. And I just loved reading this.
I think that it's absolutely terrific. Let's get back to here. Folks, there's some great tiers on this. There's so much being offered. You could buy this without getting the first Concrete Arcanum. We got gorgeous inking from Mark Capitelli. Claudio said, I just realized the caretaker looks like Jack.
I'm not that scruffy, and I really can't grow that much facial hair. So
I got married in 2004, and I thank God every day that I don't have to date in today's world. I'm with you, Mark. Mark Capitelli, senior editor of Future Thomme. And that last panel is so cool from Dave. Folks, this is the second Concrete Arcanum book. Let me just put all the words in the world together at once. Like the Containment Breach anthologies that we at Fugitive Poems put out, you can read them in any order. They're story collections. It's volume 1, volume 2, but that's just because that's the series. You can read them in any order. You do not need to have Concrete Arcanum 1 to get Living with Monsters. You can get it right now. However, if you are a completist or if you're just excited and want it, you can get volumes 1 and volume 2 in this campaign. There are also levels full of other comics, both digitally and physically. But you should, Mark is saying, absolutely right, but you should get it all. There's a ton of great things on offer here. Nathan, is it Luth, his last name?
Yep, you got it.
Nathan Luth has really put together something terrific. And I can't recommend Patrick and Jack's story more, which is why I also recommend that you get Containment Breach Volume 3 to see the first story we were talking about. But before I forget,
well,
go ahead,
yeah,
Jeff.
I was going to say, I put in a link in the chat here. Just, you mentioned tiers. Never before seen, aside from Patrick and I, literally never before seen. One of the tiers on there, you can get a selection of stories from other people who have created as a part of the book. Different stories that are in their back catalog and things like that. And Patrick put together a really cool pastiche, very intentionally, not a ripoff, not an homage. Cool, it's legal, it's great. A cool X-Men story that is a little bit romance, is a little bit action. It's really fun. And I just dropped the first page in there. So if you want to see some of the range that we're working with, that's sitting in the chat if you want to share it at some point. But
I mean, you can't go wrong getting Patrick and Jack's work. It's beautiful. But before I forget, I did want to mention this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy.
Patrick, what is this?
That is my debut, meaning actually printed novel that I started writing in 2020, and I finally got the gumption up to actually release it this year. So it's titled The Green Thief. This is book 1. Subtitle is The Land and the Void. It is a fantasy adventure story with splashes of psychological cosmic horror, not unlike Lovecraftian horror, but more of a fantasy lens to it. And it's the story of a master thief named Ito the Green, the character you see there in the green robe. And he's essentially a thief for hire, is kind of his public persona, but his true intention is essentially to steal every magical object that exists in the world, because he knows from personal experience that magic is rooted in another world filled with monsters that are trying to cross their way over to our world. So essentially, he is the thief that takes away everything that people find that's magical, which makes him a lot of enemies, gets him involved in all sorts of, situations that he doesn't want to be in, things like that. And the story itself takes place in the midst of a civil war in the kingdom that he gets roped into, doesn't want to, and things get hectic from there. So yeah, it just came out in March. So that's book 1. Book 2 is Written, not yet published. So near future for that one.
How many books in the series, or do you not know?
There will be 5 altogether.
Okay.
2's written, 3's about 80% written, and the other 2 are mapped out.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
This is so cool. I have 4 novels written, and I'm 70 or 80 pages into a 5th, and I have not yet had the guts to put them out. I am so proud of you and impressed.
Thank you.
And the book looks great too. I mean, we've got it. One, Patrick, you're welcome, because it has been exchanged. My wife did a reading weekend a couple weeks ago, and everybody was supposed to bring a book to give in. And she's like, "Well, I'm buying an extra copy of Patrick's book, and someone's going to read it." And her in progress review is that this is great, but it's not spicy at times. And so I think once she gets far, we'll see. But
the spiciest bits come at the end. No,
right, yeah.
That's what we all say to them. So this isn't what is it that all the women are reading? A crown of thorns and
a court of thorns and roses.
Yeah. My wife read that. I picked it up and found all the good parts. Just like I did as a kid with my mother's romance novel. If you were really smart, see, folks, this is before the internet. You just grab one of those spicy books and you learned where the good scenes were. Like you just open it up to straight to it.
You know what words to scan for, and then you can read the paragraph around them when you find it. Yeah.
You guys have a lot of experience with this, I can tell.
Throbbing, quivering. These were important.
We all know what Fabio looks like. Yeah.
Casey Allen is here. Hello, Casey. And Claudia said, "What's up, my cholesterol?"
Get it checked.
Casey, what's going on with that She-Devil thing? I'm still into it. It's a thing. Discord me. Mark, I think you mean Brian. It had the She-Devil thing. Not Casey. But anyway, so glad I could clear that up. The other pages were stuck together, weren't they, Christian? Well, I'm absolutely loving all this. I love what I'm seeing. I love that you guys are involved in Concrete Arcanum. I actually have backed it already, folks. If you're out there and you're watching, back it. Oh, and I forgot to point out, if you look right now on my Amazon anyway, if you order The Green Thief, The Land in the Void, it said it arrives one day before Father's Day. So you can order 2 copies, get one for yourself, and knock out your dad's gift at the same time. I can't wait to get my hands on this. I'm really excited about it. Congratulations, Patrick. This is
thanks so much.
You know, writing a novel is a massive accomplishment. And you know what's cool that both of you do, and I do, and so many people in the chat here, is every day that you sit down and you create something, it didn't exist a moment before that. You're putting, and I every now and again, I get myself to think about it on that scale. I finish a short story. Some stupid idea comes to me, and I write out a short story, and there's now a story that was never told before that exists in the world. And I mean, you got a novel out there that people can purchase. This is a new thing in the universe. And you did it. And it's so cool. And you guys are putting these great comics together. Jack's work is just tremendous. And I don't like to be nice to him because he's so dry and sarcastic.
Yeah.
But we've got a project that we're talking about because I'm dying to get Jack's work on something. We've done a ton of one-pagers together, but I'm so enamored with the way Jack tackles the project. And when you guys work together with such great stories that you come up with, Patrick, folks, Concrete Arcanum. Let's get that banner back up on the screen here. I hit the wrong button. Let's hit cancel, save. What did I do? There we go. Go to Kickstarter and type in Concrete Arcanum or Living with Monsters, and you'll get it. It's from Nathan Luth, who I wish could have joined us today. But what was I going to say? But you should order this right now and get this incredible work. Yes, it's available to read for free online. But imagine turning those pages. Imagine seeing that with the page revealed.
Yep. And see what the other, you got 130 other pages sitting there too that you have not seen.
You know, I was at the Philadelphia Museum of Modern Art years and years ago for a Salvador Dali exhibit. I'm a huge surrealist fan. Dali, Marguerite, some of my favorite artists. Love Dadaism, Andre Breton, or a whole movement. Huge fan. And I was shocked that one of the paintings that I connected with the most was a realist painting that he did of a girl at a window with a basket of bread beside her and a napkin. And I felt like I could lean next to her and put my head out the window. I felt like I could take that napkin. I really felt like it was completely three-dimensional. And I went home, and a couple of days later, I was thinking, I want to see that painting again. And I looked it up online, and it looked like shit. You want to hold this in your hands. The pages online, they do no justice to what it is to hold a physical copy and look at it in its actuality. So that's what I recommend, folks. Patrick, Jack, I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight. This was a great time, and you guys are welcome back anytime. Patrick, if you want to come on and talk just about your book, this doesn't always have to be about comics. I kind of dig books.
You get those
just a little.
Yeah.
I would love to have you on, and I thank you.
That'd be great. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. So I'm going to put you back in the green room, and we'll talk in a second.
Awesome. Thanks, folks.
Thanks.
Folks, I'm so glad that you watched and enjoyed this episode. I'm just going to assume that you enjoyed it, because why the hell wouldn't you? This episode of The Art Will Not Be Changing, my favorite title we've ever come up with. And wait, there's some more in the comments that I missed. I don't want to ignore anybody. You want me in your hands. I look like shit in pictures. Thank you, David Katz. Great work, Patrick and Jack. And then the thing that I always forget to say, thank you. Smash that like button and hit subscribe for more comic-y goodness. Y'all. I hope I hit every note of that exactly right. Green room, is that what you're calling Pornhub these days? Well, it better not be the blue room. So please remember, Dirty Living 2 is available right now only on fugitivepoems.com. This is our supernatural noir comic from Ryan Santos and Stephen Becha. It is a wild roller coaster ride of action, violence, craziness, and the great damn mystery that just keeps building. I have read issue 3, the script. I have seen the pages that are cut. It's almost ready, and it'll be dropping right on time on July 6th. The art is incredible. You want to get in on this series. It's $2.99 every 3 months. Only $2.99. You get a brand new issue. This issue, issue 2, is 26 pages long. Maybe 28. No, 26. And it's incredible. Every page is a piece of art with a great, great storyline. And please remember, you can go on Kickstarter, type in Blood, Valkyrie in Vegas or Fugitive Poems, and you can late pledge for the book that the campaign closed on, Blood, Valkyrie in Vegas, our grindhouse horror story. It's a great time. We were talking about all the cerebral writing of Patrick Hicks. Blood, Valkyrie in Vegas is just a blood spatterfest good time. So you got to get Patrick's work and really get into a place with deep three-dimensional characters and really the incredible plot to his book. The minute he said that his character was involved in the Civil War and all, I thought, he's one of these guys that can balance big story. Blood, Valkyrie in Vegas takes place in a penthouse suite, and everyone's getting killed and people are running. I mean, totally, it's the candy, it's the dessert to Patrick's style of writing. And it's a great time, and it's bloody as hell. So check that out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Christian DiMatteo, co-founder of Fugitive Poems. Thank you guys for watching. Before I forget our intro, when I'm going to do it again for the outro, the music is by C Notes. And you can go to his link tree at C Notes and get his music. He's an incredible beat maker. He's an incredible rapper. And we're really grateful to him for doing our music. We are Fugitive Poems, and we make comics.